It's 3:17 a.m. as I record this, and I can't shake the feeling that something is watching me. Not in the way you feel when you're alone and your mind plays tricks. No, this is different. Last night, I woke up to the sound of my phone buzzing on the nightstand. No notifications, no missed calls, just the screen lighting up, over and over, as if something wanted me to look. I stared at the ceiling, listening to the silence, and then I heard it, a soft, deliberate tap on my window. 3 times. I live on the 3rd floor. If you're watching this at night, you might want to leave a light on. I'm not saying that to scare you. Well, maybe I am. But after what happened, I don't take chances anymore. I used to think the night was just empty space, a time for rest, a pause between days. Now I know better. The night is alive. It's patient. And sometimes it's hungry. You see, these stories I'm about to share aren't just urban legends. They're not the kind of tales you tell around a campfire to spook your friends. Some of them happen to people you know. Some of them might be happening to you, right now, in the quiet hours when you think you're safe. I've spent years collecting the most disturbing stories I could find online. Stories that made me question what's really out there after dark. Some of them I've shared before, and some of you have sent in your own experiences, which still haunt me. But tonight, I've gathered the ones that kept me awake long after the screen went dark. The ones that made me check my locks twice and sleep with the covers pulled up to my chin. And if you think you've heard it all, wait until you hear the last one. It changed the way I look at my own bedroom window. It made me realize that sometimes the scariest things aren't the ones you see. They're the ones you almost see, just out of the corner of your eye. So settle in, turn up the volume, and remember, the night is watching. When I was 8 years old, I started waking up at exactly 2:33 a.m. Not 2:32, not 2:34, always 2:33. At first, I thought it was just a weird coincidence, maybe something to do with the way the moonlight crept through my curtains. But after the 3rd or 4th night, I realized it wasn't the light that woke me. It was the feeling that someone was standing just outside my bedroom door. Our house was the kind of place you'd call safe. Suburban, quiet, the kind of neighborhood where people left their doors unlocked and kids rode their bikes until the streetlights flickered on. My parents were the sort who believed in logic and routine. Monsters, they said, were for movies and Halloween. But I knew what I saw. The first night, I heard footsteps in the hallway. Slow, deliberate, almost careful not to wake anyone. I pulled the covers over my head and squeezed my eyes shut, telling myself it was just Dad going to the bathroom. But the next morning, when I asked him, he just laughed. "Maybe you were dreaming, kiddo," he said, ruffling my hair. "You know how your imagination gets at night." I wanted to believe him. I really did. But the next night, at 2:33, I woke up again. This time, I peeked out from under the covers and saw a shape in the hallway. Not quite a man, not quite a shadow. Something in between. He was tall, impossibly thin, and he stood so still I thought he might be a coat rack. But we didn't have a coat rack. I told my mom at breakfast. She gave me that look. The one parents give when they're trying not to laugh at you. "Honey, it's just a bad dream. Maybe you should stop reading those scary books before bed." But it wasn't a dream. Every night, the man in the hallway came back. And every night, he stood a little closer to my door. I started sleeping with the light on, but it didn't help. The shadows just got deeper, and the man seemed to like them. One night, I decided to be brave. I crept out of bed and tiptoed to the door, heart pounding so loud I was sure he could hear it. I pressed my ear to the wood and listened. Nothing. I slowly turned the knob and peeked out. The hallway was empty. I almost laughed at myself, until I noticed that the family photos on the wall were crooked, as if someone had brushed past them with long, bony fingers. After that, things started to move around the house. My toys would end up in strange places. The kitchen chairs would be pulled away from the table, just slightly, as if someone had been sitting there and left in a hurry. My parents blamed me, of course. "Stop trying to scare your sister," my dad said one night, after finding my action figures lined up facing the hallway. It's not funny, but I wasn't trying to scare anyone. I was trying to protect us. The worst night was the last one. I woke up, as usual, at 2:33. This time, the man was right outside my door. I could see his outline through the crack, tall and thin, his head tilted as if he was listening. I held my breath, too scared to move. Then, in a voice that sounded like dry leaves scraping across the floor, he whispered my name. "Eli." I froze. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. The doorknob turned, just a fraction, and then stopped. I squeezed my eyes shut and prayed for morning. When I woke up, the sun was shining and the hallway was empty. I told my parents everything, every detail, every night. They looked at each other, worried now, but not about the man in the hallway. They thought I needed help. A few weeks later, we moved to a new house across town. I never saw the man again. For years, I convinced myself it was just a nightmare, a trick of the mind. I grew up, went to college, tried to forget. But last year, my little sister sent me a photo. She'd gone back to the old house for a visit, just for nostalgia's sake. The picture was of the upstairs hallway, the same one from my childhood. At first, I didn't notice anything strange. But then I saw it. A shadow, impossibly tall and thin, standing just outside what used to be my bedroom door. I called her immediately. "Did you see anyone in the house?" She laughed. "No, it was empty." What? I didn't tell her. I didn't want to scare her. But sometimes, late at night, I still wake up at 2:33. And sometimes, I hear footsteps in the hallway, even though I live alone now. I still don't know what the man wanted. I don't know why he chose me, or why he followed us. But I do know this. Sometimes, the things you see as a child aren't just your imagination. Sometimes, they're waiting for you to grow up, to let your guard down, to forget. And sometimes, if you listen closely enough, you can still hear them whisper your name in the dark. There are rules to surviving the night. Most people don't know them, or maybe they pretend not to. Maybe it's easier to believe that the darkness is just emptiness, that the things we sense at the edge of our vision are nothing more than tricks of the mind. But some of us learn the hard way. Some of us discover that the night has its own set of rules, and breaking them comes with a price. I've collected these rules over the years, pieced together from stories, warnings, and the kind of advice whispered by people who never quite meet your eyes. They're simple, but they're not easy to follow. Here are a few you should remember. Never look out the window after midnight, no matter how curious you are. If you hear your name whispered from the darkness, don't answer. Don't leave mirrors uncovered when you sleep. If you wake up and the house is too quiet, quieter than it should be, don't get out of bed. And if you ever see your own reflection smile when you're not, leave the room and don't look back. I know, it sounds like superstition, but every rule has a story behind it, and every story started with someone who thought they were safe. The next story I'm about to share is about someone who broke one of these rules. They thought it was just a game, a harmless dare passed around the internet. But the night doesn't care about your intentions. It only cares that you're paying attention. What happens if you break the rules? Well, some people find out, and some of them never get the chance to warn anyone else. It started as a joke, like most bad ideas do. There was this viral challenge going around, the window game. The rules were simple. At exactly 3 a.m., you stand in front of your bedroom window, turn off all the lights, and stare at your reflection. If you're lucky, nothing happens. If you're not, your reflection moves on its own. Supposedly, if you see it smile, you're supposed to look away immediately. But no one really believed that part. It was just another internet dare, something to laugh about in the group chat. My friends and I were obsessed with these kinds of things. We'd already tried Bloody Mary, the elevator game, even that one where you call your own number and wait for someone to answer. Nothing ever happened, except for a few jump scares and a lot of trash talk. So when my friend Jamie sent the link to the window game, I rolled my eyes. "Bet you won't do it," Jamie typed, followed by a string of laughing emojis. "Please, I'll do it tonight," I replied. "You all better be watching for my ghost on the news tomorrow." We spent the rest of the night hyping each other up, daring, double daring, promising to record it for proof. I didn't really believe anything would happen. I mean, it's just a window, just a reflection. At 2:55 a.m., I set up my phone on the dresser, camera pointed at the window. The house was silent, my parents asleep, the only sound the hum of the fridge downstairs. I turned off the lights and stood in front of the glass, my own face staring back at me, pale and uncertain in the moonlight. I checked the time. 2:59, my heart was pounding, but I told myself it was just adrenaline, just the thrill of doing something stupid. At exactly 3 o'clock, I took a deep breath and stared into my own eyes. For a long moment, nothing happened. I could see the outline of my room behind me, the posters on the wall, the pile of clothes on the chair. My reflection did exactly what I did. Blinked, breath, looked nervous. I almost laughed. I was about to turn away and text the group chat when I saw it. My reflection smiled. Not a normal smile. Not my smile. It was too wide, too slow, like it was learning how to do it for the first time. The corners of its mouth stretched up, and its eyes didn't change at all. I froze, my own face blank, but the thing in the glass kept grinning, wider and wider, until I thought its skin would split. Then, just as suddenly, it was gone. The window was empty. No reflection, no room behind me, just darkness. I stumbled back, nearly tripping over my own feet. My phone was still recording, but when I checked the video, all I saw was static. I tried to laugh it off, but my hands were shaking. I texted the group chat. Okay, that was actually creepy. My reflection smiled at me. Not even kidding. Jamie replied instantly. Dude, you're messing with us. I swear, it was wrong. I can't explain it. The others started chiming in, calling me a liar, telling me to go back and try again. But I didn't. I couldn't. I went to bed with the lights on, the covers pulled up to my chin, just like when I was a kid. The next morning, things felt off. My keys were missing from the hook by the door. My shoes were on the wrong side of the room. Little things, easy to explain away, but they kept happening. My mom called me from downstairs, but when I answered, she didn't respond. Later, she swore she never called me at all. That night, as I was brushing my teeth, I heard my own voice whisper from the hallway. Come here. I nearly dropped the toothbrush. I checked every room, but the house was empty. The days blurred together. I started seeing things out of the corner of my eye. Shapes moving in the glass, faces in the windows that vanished when I looked straight at them. My friends stopped joking about the window game. Jamie admitted he tried it too, but nothing happened to him. Maybe you just have a haunted house, he said, trying to sound casual, but I could hear the edge in his voice. The worst night was when the power went out. I was sitting in my room, scrolling through my phone, when everything went black. I reached for the flashlight, but before I could turn it on, I saw movement in the window. My reflection was back, but it wasn't copying me. It was waving, slow and deliberate, its smile stretching wider and wider. Then it pressed its hand against the glass, and I swear I felt cold fingers brush my own. I ran. I covered every mirror, every window, with towels and blankets. I slept with the lights on, the door locked, my phone clutched in my hand. But sometimes, when I pass a window at night, I catch a glimpse of that smile. Too wide, too hungry, waiting for me to look back. If you're thinking about trying the window game, don't. Don't listen to your friends. Don't let curiosity win. Because once you see your reflection move on its own, it never really goes away. It just waits, patient and silent, for the next time you're alone in the dark. And if you do try it, don't blame me for what follows. Some games aren't meant to be played. Some windows should never be opened. What do you think is really happening here? Have you ever seen something in your window at night? Something that shouldn't be there? Something that made you question if you were really alone? I know a lot of you have your own theories. Some of you say it's all about the power of suggestion, that our minds fill in the blanks when the world gets too quiet. Others believe there are things out there, things that watch us through the glass, waiting for us to notice them. I read every comment, every message you send. In the last video, someone wrote about seeing a face in their bathroom mirror that didn't belong to anyone in their family. Another person said they heard their name whispered from the backyard, even though no one was there. And then there are the ones who say they've played games like the window game, and now they can't sleep without covering every reflective surface in their house. I want to hear your stories. If you've ever experienced something strange at night, or if you have a theory about what's really going on, share it in the comments. Maybe you'll help someone else feel less alone. Or maybe you'll make them think twice before looking out their window after midnight. Some of you have sent in stories that are even darker than the ones I've found. Stories that make me wonder if there are rules we haven't even discovered yet. Who knows? Your story could be the next one I share. So keep watching, keep sharing, and remember, sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that come from people just like you. Now, let me tell you about a night shift that changed everything. I used to think the night shift at a gas station would be easy money. Just a few hours of boredom, maybe a couple of weirdos, and a paycheck at the end of the week. I was wrong. There's something about the hours between midnight and dawn that changes people. Or maybe it just reveals what's already there. The station was on the edge of town, the kind of place where the lights flickered and the coffee tasted like burnt rubber. Most nights, it was just me and my coworker, Sam, trading stories and watching the clock crawl towards sunrise. We had our regulars, the trucker who always bought black coffee and beef jerky, the nurse on her way home from the hospital, the old man who played scratch-offs and never won. They were harmless, predictable. But then, one night, someone new walked in. It was around 2:15 a.m. The store was empty, the radio playing some old song I barely recognized. The bell above the door chimed, and I looked up to see a man standing in the entrance. He was tall, thin, dressed in a faded gray coat that looked a size too big. His hair was slicked back, and his eyes, God, his eyes, were wide open, unblinking, like he was afraid to miss something. Sam nudged me. "Looks like we've got a night person," he whispered, grinning. "You know, the kind who only come out when the rest of us are asleep." I tried to laugh, but something about the man made my skin crawl. He didn't move for a long moment, just stood there, staring straight ahead. Then, without a word, he walked to the back of the store and started pacing the aisles, never looking at the shelves, never picking anything up. "Can I help you find something?" I called out, trying to sound casual. He didn't answer. He just kept walking, slow and deliberate, his shoes barely making a sound on the dirty tile. After a few minutes, he left without buying anything. The bell chimed again, and the store felt colder. Sam shrugged. "Some people are just weird, man. You get used to it." But I didn't get used to it. The next night, the man came back. Same time, same coat, same unblinking stare. This time, he stood outside the glass doors for almost an hour, just watching. I tried to ignore him, but every time I glanced up, he was there, eyes locked on mine. After he left, I checked the security footage. The cameras showed him standing perfectly still, not moving a muscle, not even to blink. I watched the tape 3 times, hoping I'd miss something. Maybe a trick of the light, maybe a glitch. But no, he was just waiting. I told Sam about it, but he just laughed. Maybe he's a vampire, or maybe he just likes the view. But it wasn't funny anymore. The next night, Sam called in sick, and I was alone. The hours dragged by, every shadow in the store stretching longer, every sound amplified. At 2:15, the man appeared again. This time, he came inside. He walked straight to the counter, his eyes never leaving mine. Up close, I could see that his skin was too pale, almost translucent, and his lips were cracked and dry. He leaned in, so close I could smell something like old earth and rain. "You're not supposed to be here," he whispered, his voice barely more than a breath. I froze. "What do you mean?" He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "This place isn't for you. Not at this hour." I tried to laugh it off, but my voice shook. "I'm just doing my job, man." He tilted his head, studying me like I was something he'd never seen before. "You should leave before the sun comes up. Some things don't like to be watched." Then he turned and walked out, disappearing into the darkness. I stood there, heart pounding, until the first rays of sunlight crept through the windows. I quit the next day. I told my boss I couldn't handle the hours, that I needed more sleep. He didn't ask questions. Maybe he'd heard stories, too. Now, whenever I'm out late, at a diner, on a bus, walking home, I sometimes see him. In a crowd, on a street corner, always watching, always waiting. He never blinks. He never smiles. And I know, deep down, that he's not just a man. He's something else, something that belongs to the night. If you work nights, watch who comes in after midnight. Some people are just passing through, but some of them are looking for someone who doesn't belong. And if you ever hear someone tell you that you're not supposed to be there, listen, because the night has its own rules, and it doesn't like to be broken. It could happen to anyone working late, even you. Some stories never make it online. They're whispered in private messages, scribbled in notebooks that get hidden away, or confessed in late-night phone calls when the fear is too much to carry alone. There are stories I've read that I can't forget, stories that feel too dangerous to share. Not because I'm worried you won't believe them, but because I'm afraid you might. There's a line between curiosity and something darker. A line you cross when you start to wonder if sharing a story is the same as inviting it in. I've held back some of the worst ones, the ones that made me check my own locks twice, the ones that made me question if I should keep doing this at all. But there's one story I almost didn't include tonight. I kept coming back to it, reading it over and over, trying to convince myself it was just another urban legend. But it felt different. It felt real. If you're still watching, you're braver than most. Most people would have clicked away by now, turned on a comedy, or scrolled to something safer. But you're still here, and maybe that means you're ready for what comes next. Or maybe you just can't look away, even when you know you should. The next story is one I debated sharing. It's about the woods, and the things that call your name when you think you're alone. If you've ever felt watched while camping, or heard something moving just beyond the firelight, you might want to turn back now. But if you're still with me, let's go a little deeper. I used to love camping. There's something about the crackle of a fire, the smell of pine, the way the stars look when you're miles from the nearest streetlight. It was supposed to be a weekend to remember. Just me, my best friend Tyler, and his cousin Jess. We picked a spot deep in the woods, far from the main trails, where the only sounds at night were the wind and the distant calls of owls. The first day was perfect. We set up our tents, roasted marshmallows, and told stupid ghost stories that made Jess roll her eyes. By midnight, the fire was dying down and we were all half asleep, cocooned in our sleeping bags. That's when I heard it, a soft, almost playful whisper drifting through the trees. At first, I thought it was the wind, but then I heard my name. Alex. I sat up, heart thumping. Tyler was already awake, staring into the darkness. Did you hear that? He whispered. Jess groaned from her tent. If you guys are trying to freak me out, it's not working. But Tyler shook his head. That wasn't us. The whisper came again, closer this time. Tyler. We all froze. It sounded like someone was standing just beyond the circle of light, calling to us. Jess unzipped her tent and glared at us. Seriously, cut it out. This isn't funny. I swear it's not us, I said, my voice shaking. We tried to laugh it off, blaming it on animals or the wind, but none of us really believed it. The woods felt different now, heavier, like the trees were leaning in to listen. We huddled closer to the fire, telling ourselves it would be better in the morning. But the whispers didn't stop. All night, they circled our camp, calling each of us by name. Sometimes the voices sounded like strangers, sometimes like people we knew. Once, I heard my mother's voice, soft and urgent. Alex, come here. I need you. By dawn, none of us had slept. We decided to pack up and leave. But when we went to wake Jess, her tent was empty. Her sleeping bag was there, still warm, but she was gone. We called her name, searched the woods, but there was no sign of her. No footprints, no broken branches, nothing. Tyler was frantic. She wouldn't just leave. She's not like that. We searched for hours, our voices echoing through the trees. That's when we found the symbols. Strange, twisted shapes carved into the bark of an old oak right at the edge of our campsite. They looked ancient, almost like runes, but none of us recognized them. Maybe she left these, I said, though I didn't believe it. Tyler shook his head. Jess doesn't even like camping, let alone carving creepy symbols into trees. We called the rangers, but they didn't find anything. No sign of Jess, no sign of anyone else. They told us people get lost in the woods all the time, that she'd probably turn up. But I knew better. I could still hear the whispers, even in broad daylight. That night, back at home, I tried to sleep. But just as I was drifting off, I heard my mother's voice again, calling from outside my window. Alex, come here. I need you. I knew it wasn't her. I knew she was asleep in the next room. But the voice was so perfect, so familiar, that for a moment I almost believed it. I almost got up. The next morning, I found dirt on my windowsill, as if something, or someone, had been standing there, waiting. Tyler and I don't talk about that weekend anymore. He moved away, stopped answering my texts. Sometimes I wonder if he hears the whispers too, if they followed him the way they followed me. Jess was never found. Her family put up posters, organized searches, but after a while, everyone just stopped looking. I still go hiking sometimes, but I never camp overnight. I never stray from the main trails, and I never, ever answer when I hear my name called from the woods. Because I know now that the forest remembers. It remembers the names of those who listen, those who wander too far, those who let curiosity get the better of them. If you ever find yourself alone in the woods at night, and you hear a voice you recognize calling your name, don't answer. Don't follow. No matter how much it sounds like someone you love, no matter how much you want to believe it's real. Sometimes, the woods remember your name. And sometimes, they don't let you leave. Have you noticed the patterns yet? The names, the times, the rules that keep repeating, like a song you can't get out of your head. Maybe you've picked up on it. The way the stories echo each other. The way the danger always comes at night, just when you think you're safe. It's not just coincidence. I used to think these were all separate stories, random bits of fear scattered across the internet. But the more I read, the more I listened, the more I realized everything is connected. Think about it. The man in the hallway, always appearing at the same time. The window game, with its rules about reflections and the hour of 3 a.m. The night shift, where the wrong person shows up after midnight. The woods, whispering your name, waiting for you to break the rules. It's like there's a system, a hidden logic to the darkness. One that punishes curiosity, that preys on those who don't pay attention. Some of you have even pointed it out in the comments. You've noticed the same numbers, the same warnings, the same sense that something is watching, waiting for you to slip up. Maybe it's all just stories, or maybe it's something bigger, a pattern that stretches further than any of us realize. The final story I'm about to share ties it all together, or maybe it just makes things worse. Either way, if you've made it this far, you deserve to know how deep the rabbit hole goes. Just remember, once you see the pattern, it's hard to unsee it. Ready for one last story? It started with a message I almost missed. I was scrolling through my phone late one night, half asleep, when a notification popped up from an unknown number. No name, no profile picture, just a single line of text: "Don't fall asleep tonight." I stared at it, thumb hovering over the screen. At first, I thought it was a prank. Maybe one of my friends, maybe a wrong number. I typed back, "Who is this?" No response. I shrugged it off, plugged in my phone, and tried to sleep. But I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me, just out of sight. The next night, another message: "Check the hallway before you turn off the lights." I felt a chill crawl up my spine. I hadn't told anyone about the stories I'd been reading, the ones about shadows in the hallway, about things that waited for you to let your guard down. I got up, checked the hallway. Empty, of course, but I left the light on, just in case. The messages kept coming. "Don't look in the window after midnight. If you hear your name, don't answer. Cover the mirrors." Each one echoed the rules I'd heard before, the warnings from stories I'd dismissed as fiction. But now, they felt personal. Like someone, or something, knew exactly what I was afraid of. I started seeing things. Shadows moving in the corners of my room. Reflections that lingered a moment too long. Once, I heard my mother's voice calling from the kitchen, even though I knew she was out of town. I stopped sleeping. I stopped leaving the house after dark. My friends noticed I was jumpy, distracted, but I couldn't explain what was happening. How do you tell someone you're being haunted by text messages? One night, I got a message that made my blood run cold. "You're running out of time." I tried to call the number, but it went straight to voicemail. I left a message anyway, my voice shaking. "Who are you? What do you want from me?" No answer. But the next day, I found a note slipped under my door. Same handwriting as the texts, same message: "Don't fall asleep." Reality started to blur. I'd lose hours at a time, waking up in places I didn't remember going. My phone would ring, but when I answered, all I heard was static. Or worse, my own voice, whispering things I couldn't quite make out. I started to wonder if I was losing my mind. Then, one night, everything clicked into place. I was sitting at my desk, staring at my phone, when another message came through. "If you're reading this, it's already too late." But this time, there was an attachment: a voice memo. I hesitated, then pressed play. It was my voice. Older, tired, desperate. "If you get this, you have to listen. Don't fall asleep. Don't trust the shadows. They're coming for you, just like they came for me. You have to break the pattern. You have to warn them." I dropped the phone, heart pounding. The messages weren't from a stranger. They were from me, or at least from some version of me. One who'd already lost, already been taken by whatever was lurking in the dark. I tried to fight it. I covered the mirrors, blocked the windows, left every light on. But the shadows kept creeping closer, the messages more frantic. "Don't look away. Don't answer the door. Don't let them in. I don't know how much time I have left. I don't know if this will reach anyone, or if it's just another loop in the pattern. But if you're reading this, if you've made it this far, you need to be careful. The stories aren't just stories. The rules aren't just for fun. They're warnings, and breaking them has consequences. Check your messages tonight. You might have one waiting. If you do, listen. Don't ignore it. Don't think you're safe just because you're behind a screen. The things in the dark know how to find you, no matter where you are. And if you ever get a message from yourself, begging you not to fall asleep, believe it, because sometimes the only person who can save you is the one who's already been lost. If you're reading this, it's already too late. These stories aren't just stories. They're warnings, echoes from the edge of the night, reminders that the darkness is never as empty as we want to believe. Maybe you've recognized something in them, a shadow in your hallway, a voice at your window, a feeling that someone, or something, is watching you when you're alone. If you have, you're not alone. There are more of us out here than you think, listening for the patterns, watching for the signs, trying to make sense of what hides in the dark. If you've experienced something strange at night, I want to hear about it. Share your story in the comments. Tell us what you've seen, what you've heard, what you felt when the world goes quiet and the shadows start to move. You never know. Your story might be the one that helps someone else sleep with the lights on, or the one that finally connects the dots for all of us. There are more stories out there. Some I can't share yet. Some I'm still living. The night is full of secrets, and every time I think I've heard the worst of them, something new finds its way to me. Maybe it's already found its way to you. So, if you hear your name whispered tonight, don't answer. And if you see something in the dark, don't look away. Sometimes, the only thing standing between you and what waits in the shadows is the choice to pay attention, to remember the rules, to trust your instincts. If you want more stories, make sure to like, subscribe, and share your own experiences below. Stay curious, stay cautious, and above all, stay safe out there. The night never really ends. It just waits for you to notice.